Where does your favorite NFL team rank right now? Welcome, football fans, to another BLV NFL Power Ranking Reaction. In this video, none other than Michael Florio. That's right, PFTs, post-minicamp NFL Power Rankings. And what I love about Florio is he's always speaking his mind. And I like to speak my mind. So I am going to analyze these power rankings and let you know, are they perfect or are they pathetic? Let's get to it. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni, and subscribe for more NFL reactions just like this. And if you have a recommendation, please let me know in the comment section below. These are my favorite videos to make. Let's get to Florio's PFT NFL Power Rankings. Let's go. Okay, PFT's 2025 NFL Post-Minicamp Power Rankings. There's also a video clip on YouTube of him discussing briefly his power rankings, but it's not in-depth enough, so I'm going with the article here. Classic style. At number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. The rich get richer, and a new dynasty could be emerging. Did they get richer, is my question. I'm not sure whether or not the Eagles would actually be first on my power rankings. I've mentioned that briefly in another video that I've recently made. By the way, thank you for the love on that video. I'm not sure I would still have the Eagles number 1. If you guys do want to see power rankings from me, let's just say if we get 100 likes, I'll do another power rankings video. I love doing power rankings, so if we get 100 likes on this video, I'll make the video. Sure. I don't think the Eagles would be number 1, honestly. As good as they are, as talented as they are, as stacked as they are. It's going to be hard to replicate Saquon Barkley 2,000 yards. It's going to be hard to replicate that defense, number 1 defense in football, right? As good as they are, they did lose pieces like Josh Sweat and pieces like Darius Slay and pieces like Milton Williams. These are not replaceable pieces necessarily. They also lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost Mekhi Becton. Now, did they add some pieces at linebacker with Jahad Campbell, Makuba at safety in the draft? And then did they add some depth at edge and things like that? Yes, they tried to make up for their losses. But it's going to be hard to replicate a team that was 32nd in pass attempts to win the Super Bowl and dominate the NFL. Can they get back there? Can they win again? Sure. They have arguably the most talented team, at the very least in the NFC, if not the NFL. They probably still have the best offensive line. They have a top 10 quarterback. They got probably the best running back in football. They have a great receiving core. There's a lot to like. Their defense is good, young, all that sort of stuff. They've got a great defensive coordinator. But it's hard to repeat if you're not Tom Brady. Like, it's hard to repeat if you're not Patrick Mahomes. If you're not Bill Belichick or Andy Reid. So we'll see if Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are falling in that category. This team kind of reminds me of the Seahawks in 2013-2014. Now, that team got really close, but they weren't able to pull it off. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't disagree with them at 1. I just feel like I might not have them there. So like the video if you want to find out. Number 2, Kansas City. I disagree with this one. I feel like you can bake into the Chiefs this year being a team that will fall a bit. Now, of course, they have a high floor because they do have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones, and they do have still a very talented roster. At times, it's an underrated roster. I think overall, it's an underrated defense because of what Spags can do with their personnel. I also think their receiving core is good. And even if Travis Kelce is an afterthought, I still think they can move the ball through the air this year. I would expect better numbers from Mahomes. As much as I've been absolutely going after Patrick Mahomes, calling him overrated, I feel like this year he should, without a doubt, have better stats. He should. They should be healthier. They should be better on offense. There's no doubt. If not, he might be washed. We're going to throw that into the atmosphere. Okay. I would not have the Chiefs 2, but I maybe would have them like 4 or 5, somewhere in that range. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. The window is still wide open, but the Chiefs are still blocking full daylight. Okay. The Bills, definitely can buy them in the top 3. They probably would be in my top 3. They have the MVP. They have a good offensive line, a strong balance on terms of their offense. I think their defense has improved on the defensive front with their depth and their talent. I think their secondary is faster and better. And I think overall, they're just a better roster than last year. Okay, that was supposed to be a retooling, rebuilding year for them, and they still made the AFC Championship, and they nearly went to the Super Bowl, if not for a bad spot. Okay, so I feel like the Bills definitely deserve to be in that range. The Ravens, as you guys know, would be higher. I recently called them the most talented, basically like the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. Because I think it's hard to list a team that just won a Super Bowl as the favorite unless they have an even better roster than they did previously, which I don't think the Eagles do. I think the Ravens were right there last year, have been right there for many seasons, have arguably the best player in football, and have a loaded team, a good coaching staff, continuity, and they've gotten better. So I think the Ravens are definitely in my top 3, if not my number 1. Okay. They say here, Florio, the window is still wide open, but the Bills and Chiefs are still blocking full daylight. Okay. The Lions are at number 5. I'm not sure if I would have the Lions that far up because I do kind of feel like the Lions are going to take a step back this year, but I can understand it from a talent vantage point. From the last 2 years, they've been one of the best teams in football, and it's not like they lost anybody. If not, they kind of strengthened some of their weaknesses. So yeah, their offensive line may be slightly worse, obviously, but I kind of feel like their defense should be stronger on paper with Hutchinson returning and the depth that they've added to the team. I think they're top 10. I'm not sure if I would put them in the top 5. Okay, number 6, the Commanders. Have they done enough to close the gap with the Eagles? I would answer that as no. I would also say the Commanders are overrated. I've said this many times already, including to the point where now Commanders fans are just all over me on the overrated video, as I expected, for saying they're overrated. But let's be fair. Like, it's hard not to be overrated when nobody thought you were going to be good last year. You had a miraculous season with many close wins, many one-score victories, led and fueled by a incredible rookie season from your rookie quarterback, okay? And it was kind of just a miracle run. Like, a lot of teams that have that happen do dip and do fall off. They do take a step back. I do think the Commanders have gotten better offensively, specifically on the offensive line, and even at wide receiver with Debo. But I do kind of feel like Debo is not the same player. And defensively, I'm very concerned. I'm just very concerned about their pass rush, very concerned about their front seven. I just feel like they're a team that could easily be 9-8, and I wouldn't be that surprised. Now, they could still be 11-6 or whatever, but I don't feel like they're a contender. I just think they're too flawed of a team, and they're too reliant on Jaden. That's just my opinion, but you guys can let me know if I'm wrong. I would have the Rams above them for sure. Like, the Rams are a more talented overall team. I think they do have better coaching led by Sean McVay. I do think we know what Stafford is year in and year out, unlike a rookie, right? Like, we could easily see a step back, sophomore slump from Jaden. It's possible. Offensive line for the Rams is very steady. It's actually underrated. They brought in Devontae Adams to go with Puka Nacua. They can always run the ball. They've got a very good pass rush, a young secondary. So I think the Rams are definitely a good ranking here. I don't agree with the Commanders ranking. I don't agree with the Chiefs ranking. I would probably move the Bills and Ravens up a couple spots. I'd probably move the Lions down. 8 Texans are interesting that they're that high. I like this ranking. I'm obviously a Texans guy. I often talk about the Texans in a much glowing light compared to a lot of other people. And it's because I think they're very, very talented in key areas. They're very good in their pass rush. They're very good defensively. I think they have a lot of potential at wide receiver. I think that they have a lot of necessary skill on offense, Joe Mixon included there. And then CJ Stroud, I think, can be a superstar if he's protected. But they obviously have that Achilles heel. Okay, after 2 straight appearances in the final 8, they've opted to make major changes in an effort to go farther. Yeah, I think that the Texans deserve to be top 10. Now, it's under your discretion whether you think that offensive line will be steady enough, the changes they've made are good enough for them to be top 6, top 8, wherever you would list them. But I think that's a fair ranking. Number 9, arguably the most underrated team in the league. They have the talent to compete with anyone, the Buccaneers. He says he loved the Bucs last year, and he was sort of right about that. And I think he's probably on the same wavelength as me. Like, talented team. I don't trust the coaching very much, especially post Liam Cohen. But this is the most talented Buccaneer roster since Tom Brady played for the team. This team does have a deep wide receiving core, great weaponry across the board. Bucky Irving in the backfield, right? Baker is playing his best ball of his career, and he was a top 5, top 6 producing quarterback last year. Their defense should be more talented, youthful, and fast in the secondary. I think they should just generally be a little bit healthier. And their defensive front, with Hassan Reddick and some of the moves they've made, they should have more juice in their pass rush. So the Bucs are a top 10 team, but I do question their coaching. Like, I'm not a Todd Bowles guy, and I think he's underwhelmed with this team, honestly. Like, as good as they've been, I kind of feel like he's underwhelmed. Number 10, the Denver Broncos. That is a bit of a bold ranking, I think, but I understand it. From a roster perspective, I think this is a good ranking. The Broncos are as talented as, a Buccaneer team, I would say. Like, the Bucs probably have more talented on offense. I think the Bucs have probably less talent on defense. The Broncos are one of the more talented defenses. They've got one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive line. They've got 2 10-plus edge rusher sack type guys. They brought in Greenlaw and Hufanga. They have the defensive player of the year. They have a strong secondary, a first-round pick added there with Barron. Like, the Broncos have Vance Joseph coaching the defense, Sean Payton coaching the offense, great coaching, Bo Nix ascending, great offensive line, RJ Harvey in the backfield, Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram. Like, they've got a lot there. They've got a very complete roster, a very complete team. The question is, do they have enough elite on offense to really push to that next level? I think that's the question, but 10 to 13, 14 range feels about right to me. Number 11, the Green Bay Packers. I would move them down a bit. I don't trust their defense, specifically their cornerback group post Alexander. I also feel like their pass rush is overrated, and their offense is good but not great. And I just feel like they struggled against good teams last year. They will be able to beat bad teams because they're well coached and they have enough talent to do so, but I'm not sure they've pushed that ceiling yet. So I feel like this is kind of like a giveaway year for them right now, the way they've constructed their roster. It's kind of like they're going to be okay to good, but nothing special. I would move them down. I think the Vikings have a lower floor, but a higher ceiling than the Packers. The Vikings have a better overall roster, in my opinion, a better defense for sure, led by Brian Flores with Grenard and Van Ginkel, what they've done to their interior defensive line with Hargrave and Allen, and then they've got good linebackers. Cornerback group is a bit suspect, right? But the offense is, super talented. It's up to J.J. McCarthy. They've improved their offensive line. Their interior 3 is solidified. I think the Vikings, them and the Packers are interesting because the Packers have a higher floor. There's more outcomes where the Packers win 9 games, but I think there's more outcomes where the Vikings win 12 or 13. And it's up to J.J. McCarthy, okay? Number 13, the 49ers. The 49ers, this feels like a good ranking, but I think that they're going to finish above this, if that makes sense. Like, I think their schedule is so weak that their coaching is so good and their offense has so much firepower that they should be able to win 12 games with this schedule. So they'll probably be like a top 5, top 6 standings team, but maybe at the end of the year, depending on how their defense looks under Saleh by the end of the season, they could rather be a dark horse or kind of like a fraud. It kind of depends on which end of the spectrum they land on, and how much they fix their needs through the draft. Number 14, the Cincinnati Bengals. Feels about right. They have one of the most potent passing games, one of the best offenses led by Joe Burrow. It's hard to imagine that they won't improve just because they were so unlucky last year. And their defense was so bad that it should at least get back to marginal. I feel like the Bengals, they need to do more, though, with their front office. I agree with that point in the article. Number 15, the Chargers. I'd probably maybe have them a little bit higher, perhaps, but I don't necessarily hate this ranking. I did list them as overrated because I think a lot of people see them as a top 10 team. There's a portion of the media that views them as a juggernaut in the AFC or taking that next leap. And I just don't know if I see that based on the lack of firepower offensively and the lack of great defensive line play. I just kind of feel like the Chargers are still a little bit too reliant on Herbert on offense. And I'm not sure I love the coordinating on offense. I'm not sure, like, I'm just not all the way bought in on this Harbaugh thing yet. Like, I need to see more. The defense did outperform expectation last year. They could do that again. They have good coaching there. 16, the Steelers. I think that sounds about right for the Steelers, but it might be too high. I don't know how high their ceiling is. I guess it's up to Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers can get back to his prime form, then all of a sudden they're a contender. But how likely is that? Is pretty unlikely, right? Like, their defense is very talented. But I do worry about the offense. I like the running backs, but I don't love them. I like DK, but I just don't feel like they have a lot of other options to throw the ball to. Freiermuth and Calvin Austin are fine, but nothing special. The O-line, I think, is a little bit hit and miss, especially at tackle. As I don't know, we'll see. But the defense is awesome, and Tomlin is very steady, so I can understand putting them at 16. But I kind of feel like the Bears have more potential. Maybe a lower floor, but a higher ceiling for sure. Like with Caleb and Ben Johnson and those weapons and the defense that has been pretty good the last couple of years, the Bears have an extremely high ceiling. So it's kind of the question of, like, where do you put the ceiling? Where do you put the floor with these teams? The Steelers, more likely than not, will have like 9-10 wins, but the Bears could have a season where they win 11, 13, 12, like somewhere in that range. Seattle, I would have a little bit lower. I just don't buy that Sam Darnold behind this offensive line is going to be magical. I think they lack speed and explosion on offense. Their defense is good, but I don't think it's dominant. So I see them as a mid team, somewhere around the 7 to 10 win range. So this feels like a decent spot, but I would have them a little lower. Like, I'd have the Cowboys and Cardinals above Seattle personally, but that's just me. If they gave out Super Bowls for mismanaging contracts to key players, that's the Cowboys, he says. The Cowboys, I think, are kind of underrated in terms of their potency. Their passing game, I think, is going to be awesome. Their pass rush is, like, really scary, and their secondary, when healthy, could be really, really good. So they're very flawed in the running game, but very potent in the passing game. So that makes me believe in them potentially. The Cardinals, I think, are very underrated on paper. Not enough people know their roster from front to back. Not enough people recognize the talent that they do have on the offensive line, on the defensive line now. You know, when you look at what Kyler's capable of in moments, Trey McBride, James Conner, Marvin Harrison, and then the secondary has improved a little bit too. So the Cardinals, I think this is a low ranking for them. The Patriots, I would rank them higher. Like, I personally think the Patriots could be better than the Steelers. The Steelers are ranked at 16, Patriots are at 21. I kind of buy the Patriots' trajectory and upside more than the Steelers. Maybe that's youthful versus old quarterback. I'm not sure. You know, it's not, Rodgers hasn't exactly proven to be an ageless wonder like Tom Brady. But the Patriots, it's not crazy to think they could vault to the playoffs, he says. Yeah, I mean, with the coaching improvements, the roster improvements, Drake May taking a step, that is very possible. I agree. The Jets are way too high. This is probably the most egregious ranking I've seen on the list. Even if Aaron Glenn can pull off a Lion-style culture change, it will take a little time. The Jets above the Dolphins is really interesting, first of all. But the Jets outside of the bottom 5 is something I have not seen all offseason. This is the craziest ranking on the list. Like, the quarterback is terrible. The coach is unproven. The OC and play caller is brand new. The offensive line is young, talented, but I don't know. The receiving core is bad outside of Garrett Wilson. The defense is probably overrated. Okay, they lost DJ Reed, right? Like, they're probably a bit overrated. Like, the Jets are not a good team. So that's a bad ranking, especially above teams like the Falcons, who are like probably a lock to win 7, 8, 9 games. Like Michael Penix, we'll see what he is, but the O-line is good. The run game is good. They've got enough weaponry with London and Mooney, and we'll see with Pitts, but Bijan is incredible. The defense should improve, right, based on what they did this offseason. And we'll see about Raheem Morris. That's why I don't really believe in them truly or fully, but I could see Michael Penix being a good player. I could see this offense being pretty fun. And if the defense is average, they could compete in this division for sure. So 23 feels about right, but below the Jets is crazy. Number 24, the Colts have no quarterback, but their roster is very talented. Again, I think that team's better than the Jets because I think they have a better roster. I think they have better coaching, but the quarterbacks are kind of the same. Number 25, the Panthers. I like the Panthers because I think Bryce could be better this year. I think their defense can't be as bad. And I think their offense is sneaky decent on paper. Their O-line is really, really talented. 26, the Tennessee Titans, I'd have lower. I don't believe in the roster talent. I like Cam Ward. The O-line could be good, but I don't personally love the receiving core outside of Calvin Ridley. I don't love the defense really outside of like their defensive tackle play. I don't see where they're really that good. So the Titans are just going to be bad again. The Raiders are too low. I don't know why the Raiders are so low. Like, if I get it, if you're putting them last in their division, I understand that. But they're going to be better than a lot of the teams that are there. They might be the best bad team in the NFL, like if that makes sense. Because they have Geno Smith, they have Pete Carroll, they have Chip Kelly, they got Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, a solid offensive line, a good defensive line. Like, yeah, they have flaws maybe on the perimeter at corner, safety, wide receiver, but the core of their team is strong. The core, the inside, the movement at the line, the run game, I think the D-line play, like those things are all strong. Geno is good. Like, to have the Titans above them is kind of wild. They're more talented than the Panthers. 28, Jacksonville. That is also crazy. A lot of people believe in Jacksonville. I could see a world where their ceiling is fairly high based on Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence and based on Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas. Like, I see that being pretty potent. Defensively, they probably will still be pretty bad. But I just feel like if Lawrence is healthy, they're probably winning like 7-8 games. That's probably better than 28th. 29, the Dolphins, that's insane. What they have done to get any better, I mean, they're definitely worse. There's no question. But with Mike McDaniel running the offense, Tua healthy, and Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane, they're scoring some points. Like, they're not going to be the 29th team in the NFL. They're probably going to be somewhere in the 20s, but not 29. Number 30, the New York Giants. I kind of agree with that. As much as I think they've gotten better, their roster is kind of underrated. Their schedule is brutal. Their quarterback play is bad. Their offensive line is suspect. And they haven't really done a ton to improve their weaponry. This is just going to be a tough year for the Giants, I think, despite the improvements they've made defensively. Number 31, the Saints. I'm shocked they're not 32. They're bad. They're terrible. Like, really bad. Okay? They have a new coach. The quarterback's bad, or a rookie. The offensive line is suspect. The receiving core is injured all the time, and the defense is bad. 32, the Browns are more talented with better coaching than the Saints. I'm not sure how you could have the Browns last unless you truly believe their quarterback position is that terrible. Their offensive line might be worse than people think as well, and in bad shape, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be poorly coached. I would put the Browns a couple spots above. Like, I think I'd move the Browns above. I have kind of way different rankings in terms of the 20 range. I kind of agree in terms of the top like 15, 16 teams, just different order, different teams, so to speak. But the bottom like 12 on this list, I think is totally misorganized. If you guys do want me to rank all my teams, Gronk spike the like button. Let's get 100 likes. Those are my thoughts on those power rankings, man. Let me know what you thought. Did you think it was pathetic or perfect? Give me your top 10. Give your bottom 10 in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's Mitch, and I hope to see you in the next BLV video. Gronk spike the like button, subscribe. Deuces.